It is our pleasure to have all of you here. So I am Steve Gamby from Integrated Biology. I am co-chair with Jay Hayek, which is a great pleasure. And also it's wonderful working with our the director of the biology major, Sarah Kuba. So we're all delighted to have you. I want to first thank our 4 alumni for coming back. I know it takes time and we really appreciate it. And hearing stories of how you got to where you are is the students, it's really super meaningful for them. So this means a lot to them and we appreciate it. I want to just remind our alumni, I don't know if you read your newsletter, but we are now over 20 years old. We have the largest cross-college major and we are going strong at about 1,200. So it's a thriving, happy, healthy major. I want to thank the students for being here. I think this is for you. Ask all sorts of questions, small questions, big questions. These are good opportunities to start thinking about what you want to do with your careers, how you want to navigate life after Madison. I also do want to thank SuccessWorks because this is kind of a nice post-COVID bonus. We can meet online virtually. People are at different places. It is saving us commute times here. So this is perfect, and SuccessWorks has really been useful for students on campus finding career paths. We're good. So everybody, hopefully this will be a really fun, enjoyable evening, and I look forward to kind of listening in on what's going on.
Thank you, Stephen. Great. So to get started, let's turn it over to Jada Klein. Please tell us about yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jada Klein, and I am a senior local trial manager for Johnson & Johnson. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry about 4 years now, and I graduated from UW, wow, 2017. Feels like yesterday, even though it's been forever. So I graduated with a degree in biology and political science. And a little bit about what I do for Johnson & Johnson. I guess to summarize, I am a clinical trial project manager. So the D in R&D, essentially, developing clinical trials and how do we bring them from the lab to actual trials where we can test things out experimentally in patients. So I look forward to chatting with you all, and thank you for having me as well.
Okay, thank you, Jada. Let's turn it over to Derek Westfall. You can tell us a little bit about your career path and about your current work.
All right. Thanks, Michael. My name is Derek Westfall, and it wasn't quite yesterday when I graduated from UW-Madison back in 2003. However, I managed to also graduate with a degree in with a biology major. After that, I went to the Milwaukee area and looked around. Unfortunately, I was not able to find a job I was looking for with my neurobiology option, which was available. It seems like everything that had neurobiology or neurobiology labs were either in California or New Jersey. Luckily, I did apply to ACL Labs for Aurora Healthcare and started as a lab assistant where I worked my way up. I moved across the hall to histology. Also pathology and histology pretty much have hand in hand in the hospital setting. And eventually I took a shine to immunohistochemistry, which is basically the usage of finding proteins in patient cells to find out what type of tumor we're talking about. Eventually, the technical specialist for immunohistochemistry was a job that was created, and then I was moved into it in about 2012, 2013. And ever since then, what I've been doing is overseeing the day-to-day operations of immunohistochemistry. So in a real quick 30 seconds of histology, if you go in for a surgery and the surgeon takes out a piece of tissue or even, like a small biopsy, it eventually gets sectioned and stained and given to another doctor, a pathologist, to read. And most of the time they get that diagnosis, but every now and then they need immunohistochemistry to find out what sort of cancer we're talking about. Is this a lung cancer? Is this a colon cancer? And so immunohistochemistry really lets you fine tune exactly what they're looking for. So I have to deal with quality control, standardization, and that sort of thing. It's a very busy time at the lab and very rewarding.
All right, thanks, Derek. And finally, Amy Bauer, ask you to speak a little bit.
Hi everyone, my name is Amy. I graduated from Madison in 2007. I got my degree in biology and I also got a degree in history of science, which was kind of a whoopsies, but I took enough electives in there that my advisor was like, oh, you're double majoring. And so that was a fun surprise. Once I graduated from Madison, I actually went back to the Milwaukee area, which is where I was from. And I stayed working at Walgreens as a pharmacy technician. I had gotten that job in high school and I stayed doing that job after college while I kind of explored my options to see what I could do with my new degree. I had aspirations of going to medical school, pharmacy school, PA school, all of that stuff. Never really got around to applying to it, to be quite honest. It never really, I don't know, struck me enough to really commit to it. So I actually went to UW-Milwaukee and got my teaching certification in biology and chemistry. Because I already had my bachelor's degree, it was an accelerated 12-month program. So I was doing that, going to school full-time, working full-time, and student teaching full-time. I don't recommend that, but I made it. Once I finished with my teaching certification, I did teach in the classroom for about 2 years. Decided that wasn't really for me, not the traditional classroom sweat setting, but I'm glad I had the teaching license because that kind of opened up some opportunities for me in the future. I ended up going to work for Wisconsin Diagnostic Laboratories, which at the time was DynaCare. They're the in-house laboratory at Froedtert Hospital here in Milwaukee. They're a huge, huge hospital. And so I worked there for about a year. My family moved to Texas because my husband got a job offer down there, at which point I found a job working as the lab assistant at a county health department. It was pretty small, but we did an STD clinic as well as water testing. So kind of two different things. And then we found ourselves back in Milwaukee a few years later when I got a job at the Medical College of Wisconsin. I was working in the Genomic Science Center doing genome sequencing. So that whole human genome sequencing that you did way back in the day, that's what I was doing. We were testing anyone who had a rare disease, trying to figure out what was wrong with them. And then at the beginning of 2020, I left that position to work for a small startup in the healthcare field. Unfortunately, when the stock market crashed in March at the beginning of the pandemic, we lost all of our funding. So I was actually out of a job for about a month. But because of who I knew and some contacts I had made, I got hired on by the City of Milwaukee Health Department about 2 weeks later, because shockingly enough, they were in desperate need of some help in their laboratory processing all of the COVID tests they got in. And a few months after starting there, I was hired on full time. So now I've been there for about a year and a half. And I'm still doing a lot of COVID testing, but I'm also doing all of the sequencing at the health department, looking for all the variants that you hear about in the news. And then also just kind of your standard general health department testing, everything from measles, mumps, and rubella to flu, to syphilis, to gonorrhea, all of those things. So that's where I'm at.